Train Your Caterpillar, a spiritual life coaching channel. You are very, very welcome here. Thank you for checking out the video and the channel. I appreciate it a lot. If you feel like liking and subscribing for me later on too, if you like the content, I'd appreciate that too. This video is going to be about the connection between being a big old workaholic and the sacral chakra, okay? Because if you are a workaholic, because I have this tendency, been working on it a lot over the last year. Sorry, I'm fidgety as shit as well. If you have a tendency to be a workaholic, it's very likely because you have a blocked sacral chakra, or you have like tendencies towards a blocked sacral chakra. Because the sacral chakra, I'm going to put up a picture here, so you have the 7 main chakras. The sacral chakra is the one at your belly button, okay, and it's to do with feelings, expressions of joy, living in the present moment, expressions of the self, right, like things that you like to do, things that make you happy, self-worth, being able to sit with yourself and put the focus on yourself, your health, taking time out to groom, to make sure you look good, to rest, to do things that make you happy, right? Even creativity, singing, dancing, creating art, writing, anything like that. If it's blocked, because if you're new to the chakras, your chakras can either be balanced, too open, or closed, like a bit closed. So if you have workaholic tendencies, you're struggling with a closed sacral chakra, right? So the reason being is that you very likely, there's a couple of things it could be, right? First of all, you may have had a traumatic event that has caused you to stop feeling your feelings, right? So instead of dealing with these feelings, you've buried them with work, okay? So if that's the case, perhaps this video, I believe that things happen at the right time. So I don't believe there's accidents. I believe things are synchronistic. So if you're seeing this video now, maybe Spirit is letting you know that this is going to be the start of you dealing with that emotion, okay? But very likely, and it could be that too, but very likely you have dealt with a lot of codependent relationships in your life, okay? Because in a codependent relationship, there is always one person who is very strong, very dominant, sometimes a narcissist, like an actual narcissist, sometimes just with narcissistic qualities, but very selfish. The attention has to be on them. They don't like you having your own boundaries, they don't like you having your own space. You're not really allowed to express your feelings or stand up for what you want. And you may have even grown up in an environment where you were kind of taught that if you were putting the focus on yourself, it was selfish. You may have been called a lazy child or a selfish child if you tried to sort of put the focus on yourself. If you grew up with one of these very maybe a narcissist or a very strong dominant personality in a codependent relationship, then the focus always had to be on the other person. You weren't really safe enough to kind of put the focus on yourself. You were always sort of looking to gauge, because you may have had multiple people like this in your family is the thing as well. If it was a big family, you may have kind of always had to gauge people's reactions, and it was always about fitting into other people's space, because everybody should have their own kind of boundaries, their own space, where they're allowed to feel their own feelings, to express who they are, what they like to do. That's what you came here to do, to find out stuff that you like, stuff that you're good at, and have fun, right? Enjoy things, that's allowed. But if you grew up in a family where there was a lot of these strong dominant personalities, and you were kind of a people pleaser, because you had to be, to keep these people or this person happy, rather than sort of having the space and the safety to put the focus on yourself, you spent all your time kind of fitting yourself into other people's frames, as it were. What makes this person happy, what do they like to do, Like for example, a very strong personality may have been like, we're watching this TV show, you know, so you never got to watch your own stuff. Like that's a very basic example, you know, but yeah, like generally you may have just always had to put the focus on other people, you know what I mean? So that's something that you've taken into adulthood, you know, so that's, if you grew up with codependent, like in a codependent kind of situation like that, where you weren't really allowed to have boundaries or, you know, put yourself first kind of thing, then you've almost certainly subconsciously sought out the same pattern in your adulthood. I did. I have always been around codependent relationships, like always, like almost every single one. Certainly every dominant one, like every dominant relationship has always been, and I'm not just talking about men, but like friends as well, like this kind of very controlling, like dominant, sort of forceful personality that wants to encroach on your space, you know what I mean? And it's like you have to fit into what they like, you know, watch their, like for example, like watch their TV shows, or like listen to their music, or if you try to express your opinions you get shouted down, you're like, that's wrong, like, meh, 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 you're so stupid, meh, 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 like this kind of shit, right? So you may have like, what usually happens in that type of situation is eventually you will realize that you were around these kind of toxic codependent relationships and you'll leave them, right? But then, because this is what happened to me, right? Then once you've left them, there's this void because you're so used to putting all your focus on other people and making other people happy. You know, you were kind of taught that it was selfish to put the focus on you and think about what you wanted and like what makes you happy and what hobbies you would like to do, and what TV shows you like, you know, this kind of thing. So when you finally get the freedom, you're very much almost like bereft. You're like, what do I do? What do I do now? Like, because there's still that kind of subconscious thing where you don't want to put the focus on yourself because you were taught it was selfish. So you find immediately another locus to like an external locus to focus on, which is work, right? So you may find that like 4 or 5 years after you leave these toxic connections behind, you're still in this workaholic state, because that's exactly what I did, right? Like I eventually realized when I was quite old, actually, it took me a long time to kind of, excuse me, I'm gonna cough. It took me a long time to start to even realize that this is what was going on, like with these kind of toxic relationships, because it was everyone. I'm not kidding, it was everyone, literally everyone. So basically what I ended up doing, and I think this was kind of a push from spirit, because I had always wanted to go and live abroad. Like I lived in Scotland and I had always wanted to go abroad, but because of like family obligations I never could. But eventually when I was older I left. I actually wanted to go to Italy, but I had a very strong dominant personality around about me at the time, and she actually convinced me to go to Thailand. That's how weak I used to be in my own frame. That's, you know, you may look at that and be like, that's pathetic, but that's how kind of, I want to say like broken I was back then, like how downtrodden I was, like, oh, someone's told me to do something, I'll just do it, you know what I mean? But so I ended up going, I just got on a plane and I went to Thailand for 2 years by myself, so there was no, like there was none of these connections around. So I very much, it was the first time in my life, I think, ever, that I had had the time to put the focus on myself. But because I was like, you know, subconsciously you're like, well, that's selfish, you can't look after your health, you can't like find things that you like to do, you know, and like, you know, put the focus on you. So I immediately turned to work, you know, because I was working as a teacher out there, like an English teacher, for 2 years. So I immediately started obsessing about work because I had all this energy now, because there was no one to people please. So I was like, what do I do? So I was like, right, you know, subconsciously you're like, right, I'll put the focus on work. And then I left Thailand and I came back to Scotland, and I got a teaching degree here, and that was another couple of years of like working. And then I left teaching and I went into the, I built the tarot channel. That tarot channel, I love my tarot channel so much, but I'm very proud of it and I really love it. It's like, up until this point in my life, hands down, the tarot channel is the best thing I've ever done and I love it. But it's very much the product of a workaholic. That was built with, I must do this amount of work every day, 6 days a week, and not take holidays. Like that's what that came from. So that's, if you watch my tarot channel, like you'll notice that I've taken a step back over the last 3 months, and partly because it's been 3 months actually. I didn't realize, like I checked the other day, like when was the last time I put out a reading, and it was 3 months ago. But the thing is, I've been working very hard on my sacral chakra in the last 2 years, and I think in the last year it's really started to take effect because I'm not able to push myself in the same way that I used to. Like I used to be able to just kind of ignore my emotions and just carry on. Even if I was like exhausted or if I was sad or whatever, I very much had this tendency to just kind of ignore that and just work. But now that I've worked on my sacral chakra so much, I find I'm physically not able to do that anymore. So that's one of the reasons like I've had to slow down, because I initially was just going to take a little break from the tarot to focus on this channel and like learning some stuff and kind of reading and meditating and stuff. And I just found that my body was like, no, we need to rest. So that's what I've had to do, And that's the product of no longer having a closed sacral chakra, because this is the first time as well that I felt very like content and peaceful. Like it's really lovely, this is the most peaceful I've ever felt, and it's really lovely. So if you're a workaholic, it could very well be that you have like got into this place where you've left a bunch of toxic relationships behind and you've kind of transferred the energy to your work. So maybe this is a message from Spirit saying now like it's time to kind of maybe not push yourself so hard, right? Because it's not selfish to put the focus on you. Like it's not selfish to take time off for you and find things that make you happy and rest, like yeah. I'm gonna do a video soon about like, because I don't want this video to be super long. I'm gonna do like a quick video about how to open the sacral chakra soon. But if you want to check it out just now, I do have another video about the sacral chakra, but I think that was like one of the earlier ones that I did, so the sound might be a bit crappy, so I'm gonna start maybe redoing some of those with like sounds you can actually hear. So yeah, that's the video. Also, I wanted to let you know like I am taking a spiritual like life coaching one-to-one sessions at the moment. The link will be in the description box somewhere if you would like to work with me. I would very much enjoy working with you, and thank you so much for watching the video, and as always I wish you many blessings, love and light. Take care.